be hitting different.
It is. Whatever.
Is that like sped up or something?
Yeah, it's like
know.
sped up so the pitch changes.
Interesting. All right. Well,
Hello,
welcome
back to
Internet.
That's the same file we've used for 3 years or however long we've done this. Thanks,
Interesting.
Zencaster, for that extra bit of spice.
Hey, I mean, software be beta. Welcome, and you got a super special intro for that one. It was 100% authentic because we didn't even know what was going on. Hope you're doing well. Internet.
Always 100% authentic, all right? Always. There's no filters here.
No, absolutely not. Never.
Just pop filters.
Just all those pop filters, dead cats, and screens. Well, let's just jump into it. I'm your host, Chris. Joining me tonight are
Aaron.
And Joe.
Ayo. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm tired. It has
Same.
been a long weekend.
Yeah.
Not long enough, but it has been long.
I'm getting better minute by minute.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
I needed a drink and I didn't get one. Mainly because I don't think I've talked about this yet of like the move of my office. I don't think I've talked about that on the podcast because I think up until recently I still was recording from home.
You talked about like doing it. But...
Yeah, I talked about eventually I was going to get to that point. But now if anybody is watching the videos, they see a very, very bright white background on my stuff that I need to start putting some artwork on.
Yes.
And I have plenty of artwork. I just need to actually start hanging it. But besides tired, how are you gentlemen doing?
Until yesterday, I was really burnt out. And then I did like what was supposed to be a 1-day build, but turned into like a quick win, not finished project that like really re-energized me for making stuff. And like, it was interesting because I went into the weekend like, I can't stand the idea of doing anything like CNC related, or like anything like that. Even though I really needed to like work on a couple things with the milk crate to get that thing wrapped up and some other stuff. I'm just so burnt out on all of it. And I worked on this project, and then I like woke up this morning and I was like, boy, working on the milk crate doesn't sound awful today. It's like I got that out of my head, so that was fun. I don't know. Well, I'll talk about that more later.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I haven't been up
Aaron?
too much either. I've been doing a lot of resting. I'm still burnt out from last year between general stuff, just general pandemic related things, then also running the space because that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's really what did it for me. So I'm still recovering from that, but I do feel like I'm getting better mentally, been just doing a lot of me time, just hanging out, doing whatever feels fun.
Well, I will ask you then, especially, were you able to enjoy the holiday of holidays, 420 at all?
Wouldn't you like to know, pretty boy?
I finally went to the other dispensary that we have in the area, and I got some really fucking good edibles that they are very deceiving in their flavoring. I was just having a peanut butter chocolate bar, and I might have had a little bit too much.
That's the sneakiness of edibles. Yeah.
Well, it was funny because like we got them, and I was like, "You need to pace yourself." To Laura, I was like, "You need to pace yourself on what you take because you've never done edibles before, and you need to be careful." And so I gave them one square of 10 milligrams, And yeah, I might have done like closer to like 30.
Wow.
and was-
Woo!
yeah, I was having a good time. Definitely stayed home and definitely watched a lot of anime and had a good night.
Yeah. No, I got my windshield fixed on that day and then worked a super long ass day in a really cold warehouse that like added to my burnout this week. So yeah, I didn't have any fun that day. So, it's fine. Fair
enough. I say what sucks is part of the reason of my stress this week is I might also not be able to do that in the future here come soon.
Oh
yeah. And so I didn't realize that until the next day. And I was like, hopefully they will understand and it will just be a procedure going forward. If anything were to come of it. Because it is legal in Illinois. It's totally it's not federally legal, obviously, but it is state legal, and you're able to enjoy it recreationally. But a new thing that I'm looking into potentially could have me working for said government. So I might have to change some habits if that goes through. But yeah, no, that's part of my stress that I'll talk a little bit about this week. Stresses and victories this week. I feel like I've had both. Especially today. So, but I would ask what you guys are drinking. I have nothing, so go for it.
I changed it up this week. It's not beer. I'm drinking High Noon Sun Sips, vodka and soda.
Ooh.
Lime with real lime juice. I wanted to like stay up all night and work on this project and drink tasty drinks, and I was like, this is only 4.5%. I could drink a whole bunch of these and stay focused. And it was a good decision. These are delicious.
Aaron, how about you?
I am drinking Erdinger. I still have that 6-pack from the bonfire.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I got this these new sodas that I will talk about very, very loosely because hell, if they want to sponsor us because they are in the sponsoring market, I might be willing to talk about it. I got them. They're called Ollie Pop. And it's a probiotic, nutritious and dietary soda, but it's not diet. It's meant to help with digestion, and also have like a shit ton of vitamins in it. So it's the first soda that like has some like fiber in it, weirdly enough. But they've tried recreating a whole bunch of different flavors, and I've been going through those. I almost brought one of those and I forgot about it. But if you're interested, they're interesting. Might look into it. They have a sampler pack. It's like $30. You get like 12 of them. I do like some of them so far. So I will say that.
It's a glowing review.
Look, I've tried 4 of the different flavors. I've tried 4 of them. Out of those 4, I have liked 3. There's one that I very clearly didn't like. But besides that, like they've been good. So if Ollie Pop wants to sponsor us, I'll drink some more soda and see if my opinion changes.
The same goes for you, Hop Tea or Hoplark. If you would like to sponsor this podcast, we all love your product.
Hop Tea's great.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It keeps you focused. It wakes you up.
Maybe we should
just reach out.
Yeah, no, I'm actually thinking about that. Maybe I've done it before. We weren't able to get an official sponsor with Triptych, but like they helped us out and we're cool.
If Hop Tea would like to give us a keg of one of their delicious hop teas for our next event, where that's a thing that's okay, we'd take that too.
I'd be. Let me look into that this week. Let me look into reaching out to Hop Tea and see if there's actually like a a thing.
But
Yeah,
for
we haven't
serious,
said
they're not
anything
paying
bad.
us, and it's fantastic. If you like hoppy beer, or even not hoppy beer, if you like tea,
I'm gonna say
so good.
that is something we should also talk about on here. I want to talk about something. I don't know if we should talk about it on podcast or off podcast. I will.
This is getting
If
real
there's a
cryptic.
Where are we going, Chris?
I'm trying to
read
think
'em.
about it. I'm trying to think about it. Yeah. All right, I'll ask, and then maybe we can set it up for a future episode, or maybe we can talk about it this episode. We have talked in the past about paid sponsorship and about people coming onto the podcast and paying for advertisement. I feel like we're missing the ball on some of that. And I feel like we've been giving away a little bit too much free promo.
What's funny is, as soon as this episode airs, I know the people who are going to call me and be like, dude, the fuck? I've been trying to give you money for a year.
I know one of them. I do know one of them at least. And Joe, you're fucking awesome. And we will find a way for you to fund projects that we want to do. But you're like almost too nice to us.
Joe does his part, trust me.
Yeah.
But like, there's more.
Is there really?
Yeah. And you know, I think that would be fine. You know, there was for a while there was the assumption that, I don't know if it was Makers on Tap or me, was sponsored by Lulzbot. We're not. I'm not. So like when we started having the discussion about having them on, people were like, "Oh, are you worried you're going to lose your sponsorship by them?" I'm like, not sponsored.
People thought we were sponsored. I thought
sponsored.
I
So,
don't know. I've
there's
talked good about Lulzbot in the past, but I really haven't.
Well,
I don't know if we've said sponsored.
I put an effort out to like plug the brands I like, and the things I use.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes that gets me somewhere, sometimes it doesn't. But like, I also, if I don't believe in what you're doing, no one's ever going to hear I used your stuff.
Right.
So like, I've never plugged a Creality before. Tenon Waters.
Nope.
I don't know. Like, we've never done it because we've always wanted like the free agent status to just be able to be like, nah, their shit sucks, and be able to talk about whatever we want.
But I think that comes with like partnering with people who we actually believe in. I think that's what people would want from us, was authenticity, not to like an Ollie Pop. I don't like all their stuff so far. It's good. It's nutritious. Hell, it makes me have to take a shit. It's working. So
makes your
like,
poops long.
It definitely helps. Like, is it tasting good all the time? Not exactly, but you know what? It fucking works. It really does. So, but all that to say, I'm not gonna have us partner with somebody who we don't believe in. I would never say, like, if we were to all three sit down and be like, Creality is offering us X amount of money, I think we would all say, unless they meet certain standards, that would never be a possibility.
Well, remember that time that ANET tried to sponsor us?
Yeah. When I was still a newbie and I didn't even know who ANET was.
I just threw
Have
their
we ever
paperwork.
told that story?
Oh,
yeah, a couple times. I mean, it was our first. It was our first Murph as the podcast.
Yeah, we told it after Murph. Yeah, we definitely talked about ANET coming up and talking to me and just like me not knowing who the fuck ANET was at the time. Now I very much know who they are.
Yeah, and then there's the other side of like Creality, where they just have random people that work for Creality go on Facebook Messenger and like they message you because They're like, they look through your network and they're like, oh, you're connected to this person, this person, and this person. You must be somebody. I'm going to message you. And like, I have had Creality people message me to try to get messages to other people that I'm connected to. Like, hey, this dude's not returning my emails. Can you message him and tell him to like email me back?
You are the what would be the layer, one of the layers of the Kevin Bacon to get to like Sanjay.
Yeah. It wasn't Sanjay, but like, you know, it was that level though of like, I'm really uncomfortable with this.
Yeah.
And I messaged that person, but not to tell them to email that person, but to tell them like, hey, Creality is like snaking your friends to like get to you. This is creepy and I'm not comfortable with it.
Right.
So like, yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know.
It's so like I very
we've had this conundrum for a bit.
Yeah, I totally, the IC3D guys were awesome, and I love everything about it. But that's what got me thinking about it last week. Was just like, we did kind of give away like a little bit of free promo, and I think that was okay for them because they're doing it for a bunch of great causes.
Yeah,
they're doing it for Earth Day. They're really trying to spur on engineering in the recycling way, and they're doing a good job about it. And so I'm like, I was cool about it. But as soon as we got done, I was like,
well,
we've talked about this a couple times. We should probably get this ball rolling since we are growing in an audience.
So, and then there's the other side of it where, you know, there was Bontum that we had on the podcast that we were uncomfortable with having on the podcast.
Yeah.
That we told them multiple times, we're uncomfortable having you on the podcast, never using your product.
Right.
And then they promised us and promised us and promised us and promised us that they would get us a press mill to use so we could talk about it and we could be comfortable. And that was in August, September. And like, then they were like, oh, it might be November before we can get you one. And then November came around. They're like, hey, we're a few weeks out still, maybe in December. And I reached out in December and they're like, we're still a few weeks out, maybe in February. And then February rolled around and like, I've just been busy and I'm kind of tired of reaching out to them. And like, you know, I like, talking to certain people like Vince Ramirez and those guys, like they believe in the tool.
Right.
And I believe in them. So I don't think the tool's necessarily bullshit, but I do think it's bullshit that they kept stringing us along and like nothing has ever come of it. And now I want to send an email.
I mean, that's fair. Like, it's
like people told us that would happen.
Yeah. I remember that.
And like we took a chance on it. And I don't think I'll take a chance on it again.
I think it was a learning experience for sure. Which is kind of why I'm like, okay, talking about this on the podcast is because we want everybody's feedback.
Sure.
I would think.
Totally.
Because it's like, we make this for the people that are listening. If it was all like just a passion project of ours, it would last for quite a while, but we do it because we know that there are people out there who are asking like, hey, when is it coming back? Like you guys have been gone for a little bit. When are you guys done? Or it's like, no, we don't want to be done. The project, we still want to keep doing this. We still have ideas we still want to do.
Oh yeah.
And so the main drive behind a lot of this is the community. We've grown an awesome community out of fucking nowhere. That is badass. Y'all contribute to a lot of the stuff we do, and y'all like do amazing things. And that's why we're here. Like, I don't think I can say it any different from that. So that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up, was like, what does the community want? Do they think that us having sponsorships of things that we trust would be a bad idea? I've seen like great examples like what Billy does, where she just straight up just puts it at the beginning, says these are the sponsors. She has an affiliate page where she says these are the companies that I'm affiliated with, and like these are my levels of affiliation with them. Like, girl's knocking it out of the fucking park. She knows exactly what to do and has done it right. So would you be okay with this?
Spends a lot of time defending herself, though.
Yeah, she does, which sucks.
Pisses me
off.
But
how much of that is the actual affiliation to different companies, and how much of that is her being a female engineer in a male dominated space where there is a bunch of fucking hobbyist armchair engineers?
I think it's 50-50.
Really? Okay.
There's a lot of people that like think that she's either in Naomi's pocket or like that she's a Creality shill, and then she does it right. She just responds with, here's my transparency page. You can see all the people that have given me money and the people that I am affiliated with. If they're not on there, I don't work for them. And then just cuts it off. Like it, and I've been very proud of her for how she handles all of that, because I'm not sure I would have the same chill.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's fair. But yeah, so if people, please give us feedback. Please tell us what your thoughts are, because that may or may not have an effect on what our eventual goals for how we continue to keep this going may be. Like, yeah. So,
what are your thoughts, Aaron? You were quiet in all this, and I probably talked over you.
That's all right. I think we've all had the agreement from the beginning where we all understand, kind of like how it came from us running the space. Like, whenever you bring money into the situation, it really makes things weird. Where, it's instead of us just hanging out, making decisions, as friends, it's now it's like, well, how do we best apply this money? Or, do we spend it? How do we spend it? That sort of thing. It just gets weird.
Yeah.
Especially when we don't necessarily need the money. It'd be more like, it wouldn't be our personal money being put into the show anymore, type of thing.
That's all I want. Because right now it's you guys are putting money into this, and it's just been you guys have found the software and everything that you guys like. And that's the only reason that I haven't contributed my money per se yet, and unless it's putting into our equipment and whatnot. But I just don't want you guys to have to put your own money in it. I want it to be self-sustaining. Yeah, I don't want to like bankroll a shit ton of money. I would love for us to have capital to be able to do cool projects. Like, if we could offset like a hotel room for one night with some of the money from the podcast, that'd be badass. I think that'd be cool. That way we can just
sponsored maker tour to Australia.
That'd be bomb.
Just saying.
I don't know who would do that, but that'd be bomb.
I mean,
we could like.
They say to put it into the universe, right?
Yeah. You got to put out there what you want to get back, right? Anyways, I mean, that's a really interesting point, though. Like, yeah, it'd be nice if we could, make enough money to like, offset some of these annual costs, but it's not that much, when it all comes down to it.
Yeah.
But like, what if our audience was able to help, support us to go and actually do more cons, to make more content, or maybe to, just go visit cool makers or cool spaces and do a space tour, or do some key highlights and makers in different spaces, stuff that we wouldn't normally, maybe have the budget to do on our own. That might be something interesting.
So that is, funny enough, something that me and Laura are talking about right now. Laura is getting very much back into photography again, very heavily. And they are loving it, and they're loving all the stuff that they get to do with it. And one of the things our friends told us about was like, why don't you just like for Thursday and Friday of a con, sit down, do like 15 shoots, and then you've paid for the entire con. Like, so now we're looking into like, can we just go to more cons and just do a full day of shooting and then just go to the con for free, essentially? Like,
nice.
What is that?
Oh, man.
What is that level that we need to hit there? And so if we could have something like that for the podcast of like, hey, if you want to see us at this con, or if you want to see us at this maker event or whatever, we'll put up some capital to help get us there. But if you guys got to show that you want us there, and if we can get to a certain amount for us to do it, then we'll go out and do it. I think that would be badass. I would love to go to like what was the East Coast Repro Fest?
Oh, Earth.
Yeah, Earth.
Yeah.
I would love to go to that. But obviously it is a little costly, and my work situation right now is a little scary. So I don't know if I could go, but I know you guys went 2 years ago and it was awesome.
Yep. Planning on going this year. I know
When-
you're gonna have
when
a
is it
baby
this
or
year?
something, Aaron. So like, yeah, whatever. It's in October.
Really, we just got to put all of our effort and money into rebranding Midwest Maker Fest as Makers on Tap presents Midwest Maker Fest. And it's just like the annual Makers on Tap con.
Well,
And everybody comes to Peoria.
I mean, like, we totally could. Like, so RCL always put on Maker Fest.
Yeah.
But when I left leadership in RCL's involvement in Maker Fest dropped significantly. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you were you had all the contacts, and you were the one that put you did most of the footwork, like 95% of the footwork.
Yeah. So like, yeah, that's an option. Unfortunately, Ignite is being canceled this year. That might be public knowledge. It's public now. As of like
that.
4 or 5 days ago. So, Maker Fest isn't happening in person this year. So this is like an interesting thing to talk about for 2021. All of these events are kind of on the brink of happening or not happening, right?
Right.
A lot of limbo. Yeah.
And everybody is also in virtual burnout mode. Like, nobody wants to go to a virtual con anymore.
Yeah.
We're all done with it. The hype's over. But also, I think people would go to a virtual con again. Like, we have hit this
if it's
point.
done right.
Yeah. But we've hit this point where, like, I don't know about you guys, but I've made tons of internet friends over the last year. I've never met in person, but I talk to you on a regular basis now. And like, some of them I met through doing things like Virtual Maker Fest and Virtual Murph. And like, okay, those events have their place. And they really enabled things like people like Angus from Baker's Muse to like come to Murph. He's never been able to come to Murph before. We were able to host him at Verve. And like, so there's that enablement factor that the virtual cons have. So I don't know. It's an interesting conversation, I think. Is like, events are happening, but I don't think they should be yet.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Like, AMUG is happening next month, which is the Additive Manufacturing User Group Conference, and that's in Florida.
That doesn't surprise me.
And that's a huge conference, like industry leading conference. So there's going to be a lot of people there.
One of the biggest cons in this area, Colossal Con, is out in Sandusky, Ohio, or Iowa, and that's happening in June. Or either, it's happening in June because but that's like a huge con, and it's at a water park. So
good. Everybody's getting snot everywhere.
Exactly.
Amazing.
And
I'm
so
not sure I can go to water parks anymore.
Man, I don't know. But yeah, we don't feel comfortable going to that one. Because we're just like, it's way too soon. Like the first thing that we're thinking about going to, me and Laura as a couple, is in December. That's the first con that we're actually thinking like, okay, that should be hopefully safe enough by that point. The only thing we're thinking about before that would be Murph.
Yeah, so Murph is happening so far. They're limiting it to 500 people in attendance. They're putting it in a bigger building, and from what I've seen so far, the layout is going to be very sparse. So it will, even if it's like well attended, if they do it the way I'm envisioning them doing it, it will feel like nobody's there, which I think is the right way to do it.
So are they putting more of an emphasis online then?
They are putting a split emphasis. And that's what we talked to John about. And like, this isn't like an announcement or anything, but like
Right.
part of our discussion has been, if we go, we would help host a virtual aspect of the event from the event to make it more accessible to people who aren't comfortable going, can't go, whatever. And, you know, I'm interested in going. Murph is 4 hours away. So, you know, if we get there and it's a shit show and we're just like, no, we shouldn't be here. Yeah, we lost a day driving.
Yeah.
And, you know, it'll still be a fun road trip.
Hell yeah.
I don't foresee us bringing the like 30-person strong entourage that we've brought in past years. But
do you even think the space would go?
Well,
as the space?
I mean,
don't
it's
think they could.
It was usually me or Joe organizing it, or Josh organizing it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Josh might, but no one's asked about it yet.
Yeah, it got asked about, but also, you know, tickets sold out in like 5 minutes. So
right,
there's that. So if you didn't get an exhibitor ticket, you're not going as an exhibitor, at least.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what they ran into, the people of the space. So I don't know. And then the Earth guys have been putting out questionnaires the last few days asking things like, would you go if we required vaccination? Yeah, proof of vaccination at the door. Or what kinds of places have you gone that have required that? Like I don't think they've like come right out and said we're going to require proof of vaccination at the door, but they're definitely putting the feelers out there of like, what's the public opinion?
I feel like everybody's putting those feelers out because I think everybody wants to do it, but everybody's scared of being the first.
Yeah,
it's going to be a thing.
Yeah, we talked about that for Makerfest and Ignite, and then we just decided that it wasn't. Not that it wasn't worth the effort, but like it was going to be such an immense effort to check and police. You know, I don't know. Like those COVID cards, like I feel like they could be forged.
They are
insanely easy.
That's why they need a central database for it to be able to be cross-checked. Because the information on it can't be forged as well if it's actually checked. Because it does go into a database that they can call, like, I think all three of us went to Hy-Vee.
Mm-hmm.
So on that Hy-Vee part, it actually has the dose or the bottle number that was given to you, and that is in their database at Hy-Vee. And so somebody can call and get confirmation on that. But what we don't have right now is a centralized way for somebody to be able to access that and cross-check it.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
a whole conversation that I don't want to dig into.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's a very big task for somebody to possibly even take on, let alone the logistics of it.
Well, and it's a big question on if they should. Like, there's like a whole thing, and like,
yeah, I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah, see, like, there's oh man,
I am very strongly opinion on it, and I've already done political opinions on this podcast, and I don't feel like I should right now.
yeah, it's such a big discussion, and I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. I'm for against it, right?
Something like that, yeah.
I'm really good at seeing both sides. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I made foam airplanes this weekend, and they were really fun.
Nice.
Okay. What the fuck did you make foam airplanes? Like, what did you do?
Okay, so if you have ever done any like RC airplane or quadcopter stuff, you've probably seen the YouTube channel Flight Test, and they are amazing. Because not only do they put out tons of great YouTube content that's super educational and like you can watch it with your 8-year-old and nobody's ever going to drop an F-bomb. Thanks, guys. But they put out all kinds of free plans for foam board based airplanes. So they sell laser cut kits where like you order it and it comes flat pack in the sheets of foam, and then you buy all the electronics like servos and all the motors and stuff, and you can just like build it. Or if you're like me and you have a laser cutter in your garage, they have PDF plans of them, and they're free. And like they did an excellent job, because when I first saw them, I was like, they're PDFs. It's useless. But they're meant for people to like plot out at like Kinko's and then glue them to the foam board and then cut them out with a razor knife. But they did an excellent job of putting all of the features on proper color layers and vectorizing everything nicely. So I just pulled everything into Lightburn and was like, crosshatches don't cut. This doesn't cut.
Nice.
These score lines, they cut super fast and light. And then like you cut it out 15 minutes or so. And I had laser cuttable airplane plans for free.
Dang.
And about $30 in electronics, and I had a remote control airplane.
Fine.
Yeah.
so like how big was the plane actually? Like how big, like how much space did it take up in the laser?
It was 2 full sheets of foam board. They're 20 by 30.
Okay.
Okay.
So bigger than the Emblazer, but like all the parts would have fit in the Emblazer. You would have just had to like nest them differently and maybe cut the sheets down. But you could absolutely cut this foam board in an Emblazer. If that was your question.
Yeah, basically. I forgot I had that laser just because it's deep in the garage during a remodel.
Actually, that machine would be like absolutely perfect for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I cut it out and I put it all together last night, and then I went to one of our local parks with a friend of mine this morning and flew airplanes for the first time. And I spent a lot of time flying like FPV quadcopters when that was a rage, and I got pretty good at it, but like I never got comfortable with it. So, the second the quadcopter was in the air, my asshole was puckered until the second it was on the ground. It was always stressful. It was fun, but it was stressful. And airplanes are not. Like, as soon as the first one was in the air, I was just like, I could like take my thumbs off the sticks on this and just like kind of look around. This is fun. And I flew out a couple of batteries, and then my buddy was like, so acrobatics on airplanes are like real easy. Like you can roll and flip and stuff, and there's no like skill involved. You just make sure you're high when you do it. And it's like, all right. So he gave me one of his flying wings, and
the plane is high.
Yeah, the plane's high in the air.
I see.
Not
okay.
Me.
Okay.
Not 420 high, altitude high.
I see.
I don't think I could have done this high. No way. Or drunk, no way. But like, he gave me one of his flying wings that was pretty fast, like a fixed wing plane, and chucked it in the air, and he was like, all right, full throttle and kick it to the left. And it's like, all right, sure. Oh man, was that fun. Yeah, I have like a whole new obsession in about 3 days. So
that's always exciting. A brand new dopamine rush.
Right?
Hell
yeah. There's like a whole new thing to spend money on and get excited about. So like, over the next 4 weeks, expect me like like the ADHD deep dive on this to like get talked about, and then in about 6 weeks I'll forget about it.
You'll have 4 planes constructed sitting in your garage, but they will not take flight for another year.
Maybe. I don't know. So one of the things I'm really excited about is like this build was stupid easy. You know, it was $12 in foam board and a glue gun. And you know, you guys have both met my son and my oldest daughter, who are both just like anything they can get their hands on and build, they are all about.
Oh yeah.
And I really feel like this is like the first thing I found where like, we can laser cut things, and I can, like, especially my oldest daughter, like I could just laser cut the kit for her, or like, you know, nest up the parts, show her how to nest up the parts and just be like, here, go laser cut this. Here's the YouTube video on how to build it. If you screw up, we'll laser cut the parts again. It's awesome. The cheapest. Yeah. Like there's, I don't know. Like I crashed one of the foam planes today and it was just like, I got to rebuild that. All right. You know, I broke a prop, and actually I hit the ground hard and the foam board wasn't even wrecked. Like I broke the prop. That was it. It could have flown again. So, I don't know. Like that's part of my excitement for this is I've been looking for something makey that is like super fun and low barrier to entry. And there's just like nothing you can really fuck up that I can do with them. Cause I have like no patience, as a dad. I feel terrible for it, but like, I don't. So I've been looking for something like this where like, you know, if they screw up, it's just not a big deal. There's nothing to be mad about. There's nothing to be really frustrated about. And like, we can just go have fun together. And
yeah,
I think I finally found it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm really excited about it.
There's a really neat TED talk a few years ago on like different, like innovative, like drone types. And one of them was like a single rotor drone that can take off and land in place, where it's like the wings are like an H pattern, and then the propeller just it can kind of hover. If it just sits still and loses its velocity, the wings just kind of, you know, gravity pulls it down, but then it has the one propeller. They can kind of hover.
Yeah.
And then it, you know, it lands, or then it takes off. Then as it goes faster going up, it can start to move its tail rotors or whatever and level off and fly normally. Designs like that are so fascinating to me, because it's like you just combined the ease of landing and taking off of a drone with the ease and flyability of a normal, you know, aerodynamic plane.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. That sounds like a fun little hobby to get into.
Yeah, I'm really geeked about it.
With no like huge financial impact.
That's the big thing.
Because that's rare. That's rare to find a fun, interesting hobby that's like doesn't just break the bank immediately.
Well, I mean, it does. Like, like to get into the hobby,
controller alone.
Yeah, you have to buy the controller, and I still have my controller from having quads, so that was like almost like a found expense. And then like for FPV, like FPV goggles are still stupid expensive. I bought a really cheap set that's supposed to be decent. We'll find out. If it's as good as my expensive pair was 4 years ago, I will be happy, because that wasn't good. But this was a third the cost. But I spent all day flying in DJI's high def goggles, which is like looking at a high def TV.
Yeah.
God, wow, those look good. But they are so expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Are they really?
I wasn't counting the FPV stuff.
Yeah.
I was imagining you're just hot gluing stuff together and slapping it on a little controller and going.
Yeah, like the plane, you know, it's like the plane body is like $12, and then it's got about $30 in electronics on it. And like if you trash the plane body, all those electronics are just hot glued on, so you just peel the glue off of them,
right, and
stick them on something else. And that's what I'm excited about. Like Grayson and I could build like every plane on the website for less than $100 if I transfer electronics between them.
That's fun.
And we could have like lots of build experiences. Like that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then Adam, Dreadmaker Adam, has been making 3D printed rocket bodies. And he's been sending me those models. Well, not the models yet, just pictures of the models. And I'm really jazzed about that because, like, those are a couple of bucks per rocket. And then we can make the rockets together. And then we can shoot the rockets at the planes. I don't know, but rocket plane. I don't know. I was so burnt out on the RC hobby in general a couple of years ago that, like, getting back into it and seeing how easy some of this could be is kind of exciting.
What burnt you out of the RC hobby?
What brought me out of it?
Well, yeah. Like what brought you, or what burnt you out the first time?
Oh, so at the time, FPV racing was like a really big thing, right? And it was developing at a rate that was just insane. It literally, companies didn't make 2 runs of the same product. Every time they would sell out, they would just rev the product, and then oftentimes it wouldn't be back compatible with like an old controller or something. So you were always like playing catch up with firmwares and controllers, and like it was like a full-time job to keep it as a hobby. And I have other hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no hobby takes the place of all the other hobbies. It's like I just add to the pile, right? So it was a ton of effort to keep up with. And while it was fun, it wasn't that fun. And now it's like slowed down to the point where I think it can be fun and like have some longevity to it. So, and like all the stuff that I'm looking at building now, it doesn't depend on flight controllers and firmware and all that stuff. It's literally just an RC receiver, and you plug it in and you throw the airplane. Like, So
nice.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna drag you guys into it, kicking and screaming, because it's stupid fun.
I'm already interested. You already sold me.
I flew a couple planes line of sight today, which I've never done before. I've never flown a plane before, but like line of sight has always been difficult for me because I get dyslexic with directions just talking to people, let alone like looking at an airplane in the sky.
Yeah.
So I want to get better at that because that removes the FPV cost.
Right.
Then you're like a $50 controller and a receiver. And then
did you go and fly out at the Mossville one, or the because that's the big one I know around here?
No, we flew at Farmdale Dam, which I don't know is technically legal, but boy was it awesome. Because like you climb up to the dam and there's a 50-foot drop off on either side. So when you launch, like, it's real forgiving. You're not going to crash unless you just go straight down into the ground.
Right.
There's tons of space out there. It's like federal parkland. So there's, I don't know, probably not a really big deal. I don't know. Somebody would have came talk to us. We would have left and not made a big deal out of it. The guy I was flying with has flown there for years and never had an issue though. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm excited. We'll see how it goes.
Heck yeah.
I still have to finish the plane that I started last night. I was flying all his planes today, so
I've been looking into a new hobby as well. I've been reading up on analog synthesizers. Yes.
Are you going to make our own intro?
Yes. That's already on. That's the first thing. Once I figure out how to do it.
Well,
everybody, it
just
doesn't matter how it sounds. It sounds amazing. We're proud of Aaron. All right.
Yeah, I've been reading up on that, but man, those things are hella expensive. But apparently they're super
Yeah.
easy to DIY though. It just requires basic electronics experience and soldering. That's it.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a whole DIY community just based on proto board builds. And like they just share proto board designs, like just wires crisscross here, cut off the traces here. It's quite fascinating.
Yeah.
So it's like they'd be really
Have you
simple
ever-
just to make a little PCB and to just, like I want to get one of those Pelican cases that Karen brought in from Cat, and I want to make that one of them, like my first mobile rig, because apparently you can just use like 1515 profile rail, like extrusion for the actual rails of the units.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I want to get my milk crate CNC done, so I can use that to mill out the faceplates.
Yeah,
because my current mill, my little tiny mill is too small.
And the milk crate will definitely do it.
Yeah,
I proved that the other day. Have you ever seen Lick Mum No Computer on YouTube?
yes, I love his channel.
Yeah,
Coolest stuff. Yeah, so I'd basically be going through all of his DIY like designs and making actual PCB schematics for him.
Nice.
Just so they'd be actually reliable. But then
So
doing my own faceplates and stuff.
Yeah. So we had a dude that does synthesizer stuff on Makerfest, Luke. If you remember that. I think he mainly talked about refurbishing axes, but his other passion is old ass synthesizers. So if you ever want somebody to nerd out about it, hook you guys up.
So I met someone in Peoria years ago at like an IoT meetup at one of the bars. And I ran into someone who runs like the world's largest DIY synthesizer convention. And he's like from here. Yeah.
All right.
That is not Luke.
Of course, I don't remember.
But they would be friends.
Of course, I don't remember who it is. But
Good.
I thought that was fascinating.
If you're listening, we would like to meet you again. I bet they go to like Hamfest and stuff.
Yeah.
Yo, Hamfest is dope though.
Yeah.
I did Hamfest.
We need to do a
for way too many
podcast
years.
over radio. How fun would that be?
I'd have to go to one of your houses. I have no idea what I'm doing there.
I mean, yeah, you could take up what's the local one? 699.173. If I'm remembering it right. I know it's W9PIA.
Yeah.
W9PIA is the local repeater. And technically, if there's no traffic on it, you could do it's normally frowned upon to go more than an hour. So we could do an hour-long podcast over the local radio waves.
I love it. Let's do it.
We could just get local hams on the show. Just make the repeater the show.
Yeah. Well,
How fun would that
and
be?
you could have it could be worldwide because W9PIA is it's a link tower. So if you can log into it from the internet, and as long as you have a license for amateur,
Right.
then you can call into it.
That's real cool.
Yeah. I got my license at a ham cram a long time ago. And I never joined any of the repeaters. I have it tuned in and I just listen every now and then. But
Back in the day when we were doing the storm nets, it got pretty active. You would have a lot of people on PIA, and you would also have people on what was the other one? K9 something. Both of those were pretty active in the area especially for StormNet, but PIA is still occasionally active. It is mainly your typical very old guys just kind of chilling in their basements, which nothing wrong with that. We're all going to be that someday. But it's just kind of funny. Like you normally catch them and they're just like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?"
Neat.
So Yeah, no, I'd highly, I think that would be pretty awesome because I made sure to not let my license lapse, so I still have a current license that I can use for the airwaves.
Those are good for 10 years, right?
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah.
And then as long as you renew it, it's still good, and you don't have to go get the test again. I feel like if I were to take the test now, I would understand it a lot more. But I took it when I was like 15, so
Yeah.
I very much did not understand it as much.
Yeah, I did it just so I could play around with software-defined radio, like on a Pi. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, because like you get like a $20 dongle for it, and it can pick up the amateur radio waves, and you can like do all kinds of fun stuff with it.
Echolink is the big project. Let me. Is it still? Yeah. Echolink's still going. That's the big project where pretty much any towers that are at least in the U.S. There's some around the world. If they are hooked up to the internet, they most likely have Echolink on them. And that way you can just log in and talk, and you don't have to have a radio. That was my biggest introduction for the longest time because I didn't have the start capital to get a nice radio rig in my car. So I would just like log in with a PC mic and headphones and then just go through Echolink and throw myself anywhere in the world I wanted. That's pretty fun, especially if you don't have HF and you can't bounce off the moon or anything like that.
That's so neat. I've always been interested since I saw Contact when I was a kid, but like never. Yeah.
We man, if I had the contacts and I knew the people that I used to, I would say that we should do a episode where we actually go out and participate in field day. Because field day is one of the funnest fucking things on the planet. But essentially it's a bunch of the emergency management groups across the world for 24 hours go out and rely on 100% off the grid energy, and then it's a contest. You try and make contact with as much of the other groups in the contest, and you're just bouncing off and confirming with whoever you can get in touch with. So you just like basically ours was we actually went and stayed out at the park near it's like in between Grand Prairie and the one city out there I can't remember the name of. It's like towards Galesburg, but there's a park out there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we went and stood there, and we had an old FEMA trailer that had gotten retired. So we just outfitted that with all of our radio gear. And then we had like 2 more pop-ups, and then we just went and like chilled there, and you had 2 to 3 people who were running radios, and then the rest were just grilling and having beers. And you just ran off generators, you ran off solar, whatever you could the entire weekend. And you tried to make contact with as many people as possible during the weekend.
That sounds like an easy thing for you to like restart contacts with. You should do that. It sounds like a lot of fun.
I would have to reach out and see if I could get a hold of somebody who's still doing it. But yeah, it was a hell of a lot of fun back in the day when we used to go and do that. Yeah, no, it was, you just go and do that for 24 hours. If you had amateur, it was you would hope that you would have advance. That way you could use the HF radios, which those were really fun because we came up with innovative ways to shoot the antennas. So we had like a lot of crossbows with fishing reel. And so you would just like shoot the crossbow into a tree and then like have the arrow go out. And so that way you could drag up the HF line and it would go through the trees and whatnot. It was awesome. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I haven't done that in such a long time. Yeah, I'll have to see. I'll have to see if I can get a hold of anybody who's still doing that, and if we could go out and hang out for an episode. Because normally it is in the summer. I don't know if they're going to do it this year, because I remember it being in June the last time I did it.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll have to see if that's something we can get into again.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of this sounds very fun. I've been so involved in CNC stuff for the last like 3 months between work and side job stuff that like right now anything that doesn't involve machining sounds really great. Or building machines, like, yeah.
You want to create problems for once?
Yeah, or like use the machines to solve some problems instead of just like fixing the machines or building machines. Like it's been great, and I'm really glad that I've had those experiences lately. But yeah, ready to do something interesting for a minute, and building the airplane really like took care of that for a couple days. It was nice to just have a complete and utter break and do something completely different. So,
no, that's fair.
Anyway,
yeah, it's I don't know. I've been like super stressed the last 2 weeks or so. So I haven't gotten to do that yet, but I'm hoping that some things are changing soon where I get to. I really am.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we're all feeling it.
I did have like, so I did start, I actually got my own business off the ground.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. And I have my first client. The reason I was like rushing to get the business done was because I'm going to have my first client actually pay me. And it's a decent amount, and I kind of don't want it to go into my bank account. I kind of want it to like go and stay in its own thing, so that way I don't get in trouble by anybody. But yeah, I essentially started up a streaming solutions / multiple other solutions type company. And the first one that I have is actually the art studio that I work at, or that I work out of. The landlords for that wanted to have a better streaming solution for their church. And so today was actually the first go live for the new system. It was terrible. I learned a lot. It mainly what it was we didn't do a tech run through. No matter how many times I requested that we do a tech run through, they're just not used to it. Because it's not like one of those things that they ever had to think about. And so when I say, hey, we need to do a tech run through, and they go, what is that? And I'm like, okay, cool. So like we tried to do the best that we could with what we had. But one of the things that I previously, the previous system that they had in place interfaced through an older camera, and that older camera did have an audio in and an audio out. The newer system goes through an audio interface, and it has a little bit more power than this older camera did. And the EQ was set up for that older camera and not set up for an audio interface. So when the very old-fashioned pipe organ kicked on, it very much blew out the speakers on everybody who was listening.
Oh no.
Because it was loud and muffled as shit. And everybody let me know in the comments. And there really wasn't anything I could do live. I could try and adjust audio and try and make it sound as good as I could, but it was not wanting to do shit all. And so I tried to make it sound as good as I could, but it's going to take me actually having to come in this week and re-EQ all of the sound for the stream.
Did it damage anything?
Nothing. No, I was able to make it not damage anything. Unless somebody was cranked on their side, it might have done something, but everything on our side was okay. I did freak out at first that I thought it blew the audio interface because it was leaking over for a little bit longer than I was expecting. And I was like, holy fuck, did it really do that? But no, the audio interface, once I lowered the volume that was coming in, seemed to do okay. I just had to go adjust that on the board that's getting the audio. So it was a whole thing. All that to say, I started a company. I'm actually doing work, and my first job was horrible. I hope they hire me again.
It's exciting though.
It is.
I'm proud of you.
No, it's come together. I'm doing the best that I can with what skills that I have. Which is a really weird set of skills, but in this day and age seems to actually be applicable. And so I'm trying to do the best I can. Yeah. Doing side hustles where I can. So
that's awesome.
I did confirm that the piece that Joe actually printed, that is for sure going in at the Wheels of Time Museum.
Oh, sweet.
So you're going to have a piece that you printed out there at Wheels of Time, which is going to be pretty fun.
Awesome.
So yeah. But yeah, that's been my past couple of weeks, is just working on that, and getting that just kind of ready for what it eventually is going to become. I've got to fix the stuff this week, and then I got 2 weeks of training their staff on whatever they want to do, and getting that to a state where they feel comfortable. So gonna be interesting.
That is. I think that is the only way to say it for consulting. Is it's gonna be interesting.
I mean, so far, they've already recommended me to another place who is potentially thinking about at least talking to me as a consultant, and seeing what solutions I might be able to come up for their place. And then as we were talking about, or as I was doing stuff for them here, they're already thinking about security solutions as well. So they're like, how do you feel about installing security cameras? And I was like, well, I have ideas on security cameras. Can't say I'm a professional in security cameras, but I definitely know professionals and can get like a good idea for what you guys need and kind of get you in the right direction.
And that's the right answer. Like,
yeah.
I hate false knowledge, or like I've worked with some people that would be, their answer to that would have been like, of course we know security. Yeah, we can get you everything you need.
Yeah.
Knowing they didn't know the answer and just expecting that they could come up with it. And that just leads you into some bad situations. And I don't think any client would ever fault you for saying, I don't know, but I can see about getting you the information. And if I can't, I can at least point you in the right direction.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm sitting, is like, what they need is not a whole lot. And that's why I feel somewhat comfortable taking it on. I'm like, you need essentially like 6 security cameras that you would like to have network accessed and cloud stored. I can do that pretty easily with a couple different companies, and I can just get you their equipment, install them, and have you good to go. And that's pretty easy. If you're asking me to install an entire security system into your entire building, that's a little bit different. And I don't feel as confident about that, especially if you want them hardwired and not over Wi-Fi. That's, yeah. But yeah, so that's been what I've been up to. I've been having fun with fiddling around with that and having a little bit different experiences here and there. But yeah. Aaron, how about you? What have you been up to, man?
Not a whole lot. I bought all the parts for my milk crate today, so I actually went through Joe's Bomb and got all the stuff ordered.
Yes.
Made some progress on
the world.
Yeah, I'm excited to get that together. I made some decent progress on this robot arm. I know it's going to mean nothing to our audio only people, but I have 2 halves of an arm, and I still have to figure out how to get them together.
You said there was like no instructions for this, right?
No instructions came with it. Okay. And after extensive Googling, I found some random site that had a PDF of it, and it's very bad. It's just like
Fair enough.
each step is like, here's the nuts and bolts you need for this step, and then here's what it looks like fully assembled. It's like assemble the rest of the fucking owl. So
sounds about right.
If anything, it's been like a really fun puzzle to try and figure out what they wanted me to do. So I'm making a little bit of progress on that.
Have you figured out anything more about how the hell things programmed?
No. I don't even think I think they just sell like an Arduino kit for it. So it'd just be like a servo hat.
Okay.
So I'm not really sure where to go for that. I mean, my initial thought was just to get a Raspberry Pi and like a motor hat, and then just try and move them manually just to start. And then maybe, I don't know, because ROS seems like a whole lot for someone who has no robotic experience to begin with. So I was trying to start small.
I mean, it is, but like also you have a lot of software experience.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not. I don't know. The problem with ROS, and like even like I have experience making ROS do stuff. The tutorials of like how to get started in ROS are like a month deep.
Yeah. That could be what's putting me off, is whenever I look through those, I'm like, wow, this is already a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just an immediate steep learning curve.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, because it's like I don't even have like that strong of a need to learn it, or even a strong want to learn it. It's more like if it was something I could just like flash on a Pi and just easily configure with some text files, like fine, like I can figure that out in a day, and I can just make some fun robot programs. But if I have to like dedicate a week or multiple weeks to figure this out, I'm like, I don't have a big need to know this. Like, I was doing this for fun. So once it stops being fun, I'm going to stop doing it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just doing whatever sounds fun. So this robot's been sitting here for a couple weeks now.
It was interesting. I put out my first tutorial on the Tormach robot this week, and after I put that out, I talked to the Tormach guys, and they were like, "Yeah, it was cool to watch your video and like see how somebody else programs the robot." But I spent the whole video going, "No, Joe, why'd you do it that way?"
Yeah.
But then I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, no, if this is how a person would like go about doing this if they didn't have instructions, why the hell did we make it like this? And I was like, and that is why we beta test. Yeah, it was a really good conversation. It's fun to be that person that fights through those things. But like also, as I was making that video, I had this moment where I was like, how the hell do I do an if statement in this? Like, the if doesn't fill it. The if statement in that initially it's just if true. And it's like, how, do I type something in that box that says true, or like, what do I need to do? And, none of it's like really clearly laid out in any documentation anywhere. So I had to like kind of fiddle around with some other things to get like a statement out that was like, oh, that is how I get to a digital input. And like, I bet if I format that like this, and then I posted a question in our beta test Slack, and I was like, how do I do this if statement? Because it's still giving me an error. And about an hour later, I went back and I was like, oh, I didn't double equals it. Like, because
you're trying
Python.
to assign true to if.
Yeah, and I was like, that's the problem. So I just deleted the comment. Maybe nobody saw this stupid question that I put out there. But like, it, you have to also remember, like, during a beta test, there are no stupid questions, because if you have that question, somebody else will have that question for sure.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the whole thing about documentation. You know,
Yeah.
you're like, how do I do this? Well, look at the documentation. Well, where is it? Oh, it doesn't exist yet.
Maybe we should document it.
Yeah, if you
Guys.
had that question, maybe other beta users will have it.
Yeah, I have access to edit the documentation. Maybe I should make that edit to of how I did it.
It's not a bad idea. Yeah.
This random consultant is messing with our files.
That random consultant's there for a reason. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, we've been doing this for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to go glue an airplane together.
I want to drive home and go to bed. I got a really long week ahead of me.
Me too. I have to pack out my project into a cargo container to go for a demo this week, and it's still not done.
Yeah, I gotta go do a decom at Navy Pier up in Chicago. So one of the theaters is closing down there. I gotta go decom it. So I'm really excited for doing that on Tuesday, especially with the limited amount of time they're giving me.
That sucks.
Very much so.
Lot.
I gotta leave the house at like 4 a.m. on Tuesday in order to make it because they won't let me stay overnight because we're too tight on budget right now.
Wow,
Yeah. So having a not well rested employee drive up to Chicago in the middle of like morning rush is going to be way more cost effective and safe than just having me stay 5 minutes away from the site. Cool.
Yeah. That's stupid because you're going to sit in traffic for like an hour and a half.
Exactly. Which I told all of them this because I know Chicago like the back of my hand by now, especially Lower Wacker and downtown. So they should have just listened to me, but nope. You know, don't trust the tech.
Those decisions are always weird.
Yeah. But anyways, this was a nice chill episode. This was just a almost bonfire-esque episode, but not bonfire.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
We haven't had a Hangman episode in a while.
Yeah.
No, they've all been heavy or chilly and
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this was
Icy 3D was chilly, but they've all been
interviews.
On other things.
They've been either we don't record or we record interviews.
There was that.
Yeah.
Those push us to record and those they keep it going. Okay.
We just got to get better about it. I tried to be early on Saturday and be like, hey, we gonna do this shit?
And it was appreciated.
Very much appreciated.
For
Chris.
Sure.
We just need to keep each other in check and see what we need to do. So we're gonna keep trying. We're gonna keep doing as much as we can. But with that being said, we're already an hour and 20-ish minutes into this already. So we're gonna sign off and get some rest. So, gentlemen, as you would.
All right, guys, keep making stuff.
This is the end of the podcast.
I'll find my mouse.